Welcome into Sportsmemo's college football betting podcast, where we are going over today's bowl games. Today is December 26th, Wednesday. Hopefully everyone out there had a fun, safe Christmas with the family. Safe travels out there if you're traveling and listening to us. And today's guest, Robbie Vino, to break down today's bowl games. Welcome into the pod. How are you, buddy?
I am doing good, Drew. How are you? How was your Christmas?
It was good. Half the time with my mom's side of the family, half the time with my dad's side of the family, and good family, fun, a little bit too much drink one of the nights, but overall I made it through. What about yours, man?
No, it was good. Had a house full. Still have some here as we're speaking right now. So, but it's always good. You know, the crowd was nice. The activities were there. So a fun time for sure the last 5-6 days and right on through the new year. So nothing to complain about here, buddy. All good.
Good to hear. And we got 3 games today on the December 26th card. And then you want to pick up tomorrow's action for maybe the remainder of the week on tomorrow's podcast, Robbie?
We could do it. Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. So we'll just do a quick pod today. 3 games. We got 229 through 234. And pretty much they run all day, 1:30 Eastern, 5:15 Eastern, and 9 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully we'll get you some action for the full day here. And guys, as you're listening to the podcast or just clicking around on Sports Memo, Robbie Vino has his 5-star bowl game up on the front page here at sportsmemo.com. You can check that out. And what, Robbie, 5-star totals year to date, you're 75%, is that right?
Yeah, 9-3 with 1 push, so 75%. Been good all season long. Folks who follow know that every Saturday we have a 5-star, generally in the totals category. So, it's not a cheap 3-1, 75%. It's been season long, 9-3 with 1 push, and we do have a 5-star bowl total going in tomorrow's action.
All right, so check that out at sportsmemo.com. Robbie Vino's been great with the big plays as far as the totals go, and he's got one up there, sportsmemo.com. Check that out. Robbie, we got a game starting here, depending on when we get this up, probably within 2 hours. So hopefully a couple people can, or more than a couple people can get in on it. But we got Boston College versus Boise State. Looks like Boise, 2.5? And there's some winds in this game, Robbie. It looks like 15-mile-an-hour winds, maybe some rain. That seems to help the Boston College side. I'll tell you, going into this one, I like Boise State, though. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, the weather is a difference maker, Drew, for sure. Not only are we going to deal with winds in the mid to potentially upper half of the 20-mile-per-hour range. I'm seeing anywhere currently from 22 to 26 throughout game time. But the possibility of thunderstorms, not only a possibility now, a really good chance. You might get away with the first half of the first quarter, but after that, you're probably looking at rain and wind. Second half especially, the percentage of thunderstorms goes up to 80% for the second half. So this is a game that's going to be played in wind and rain. And we do know, Drew, from the last 2-3 years, a lot of times when these games encounter thunderstorm activity, you have stoppages in the game for lightning. I know there's a certain time and distance away from the field where if they see a lightning strike, they have to stop the game. And who knows how long you could be in the locker room for until the weather is clear. In this particular instance in Dallas today, the rain is going to get progressively worse as the day goes on and into nighttime. So they're kind of lucky that they've got a 12:30 in the afternoon start here, because they'll have a little bit of leeway before the rain hits. But like I say, those stoppages in play could do anything to the momentum of a football game. You just don't know. Very, very hard to predict. It makes this one a tough handicap. Like you say, a muddy track, and the Cotton Bowl is a grass field, you would think could favor A.J. Dillon and the Boston College Eagles. A.J. Dillon now is close to 100% as he's been in quite some time. Remember, he started off the season tearing it up for BC. He and quarterback Anthony Brown, quite the duo, but then Dillon got injured. Wasn't really right for the remainder of the season, probably, let's say, the last 4 games. And with the time off, it helped him quite a bit. However, On the other side, you have a workhorse in Alexander Madison, who is every bit as capable as A.J. Dillon is of churning yardage up on the ground. Boise State found their ground game about halfway through the season. Madison's been a good 2-year back for this team, combined with the fact that, let's face it, Brett Rippon and the Boise State passing game are more of a threat than is Boston College's passing game. You have a more diverse offense. While the weather's good, who knows what these winds and what the rain could do to any type of passing game Boise State has. Now, with that in mind, Drew, you start thinking as a bettor about little things such as the coin flip to start the game. Should Boise State win the coin flip, generally we see these teams defer to the second half, but knowing that the first quarter might be the only good weather quarter that they get, if Boise State wins the coin flip, I wonder if they won't accept the football, take the wind, and use their passing game while they have a chance to maybe get some points before things become a little more difficult. So there's a lot that goes into this handicap. Of course, it's very difficult to figure out which way the turnovers might go in these conditions. I know one thing: Steve Adazio, in his bowl game against Maryland last year or the year before, whipped out all the trick plays, and we know Boise's good for trick plays as well. So expect to see some of that. But we've seen a strong hit to the under on this game, certainly due to the weather factor here. I think I was looking about 5 minutes ago, Drew. I think I saw 49.5 on this game now. It started at 55. So certainly the under has been pounded. Might still have some value there. At 49.5, it is difficult to say because you can get a couple of cheap scores off of turnovers. Boise State's middle linebacker Tyson Maeva, the team's second leading tackler, out for this game, which helps Boston College's run game a little bit more. When you take a piece out of that front seven for Boise, a piece as big as Maeva, that does make a difference. So there's so many arguments and counter arguments now with the weather conditions. Like I say, it makes it tough to handicap. Early on, it looked like Boise State might be a good side, but now I'm not so sure. Bettors have taken this from 3.5, which was the opener, all the way down to 2 in some places now. And I'm looking at offshore Jazz on our odds screen, Drew, which is showing 1.5 minus 15. So Boston College money continues to come in.
Guys, we have a coupon code CBB500. Yeah, this is college football, but the coupon code CBB500 for Rob Vino, myself, any handicapper on Sportsmemo.com will give you the rest of the college basketball season all the way through the Final Four for just $500. And with that, we'll throw in the rest of college football bowls on the house. So just $500 for the rest of the college basketball and college football season using coupon code CBB500. Also keep in mind, Robbie Vino's got his 5-star bowl game up on sportsmemo.com, 75% year-to-date in his top totals with college football. We got 231, 232 up next, Robbie. 5:15 Eastern kick. Minnesota, Georgia Tech. A lot of storylines here. 57 the total at Chris. 6.5 pretty much across the board. That's Georgia Tech laying in this one. Robbie, we got the Georgia Tech side. Paul Johnson leaving, going into retirement. The whole option offense. What's going to happen with that? Does that change this bowl game going forward for the program? And then Minnesota, on the other hand, suspensions. Are the players suspended? Are they not? It's like a MAC kind of injury report that PJ Fitch that the coach is bringing up from the MAC here to the Big Ten. But Minnesota, Georgia Tech. What are your thoughts on betting it?
Yeah, and the two things that you just hit on, Drew, are probably the biggest keys to this game. For the Minnesota side, it looks as if right now we won't see their top defensive end, Blake Cashman, one of the suspensions that you referred to, and we definitely won't see their best offensive lineman, left tackle Donnell Green, who has chosen to skip the game in order to prepare for the NFL draft. So you're talking about the two most important pieces on both interior lines on each side of the ball. Lost for Minnesota. PJ Fleck, of course, a master motivator. Minnesota has had these issues all season long where they've had to have the next man up mentality. Pretty young squad in Fleck's second year, but he did a great job with these guys. I believe that there was a certain point in the season where it looked like all was lost for Minnesota, and all of a sudden, especially on the offensive side, and Fleck developed a passing game to go with their ground game. We know that they went through a number of injuries to the running back position all season long, but it was the passing game really that started to click, and the young wide receivers for Minnesota, size-wise, talent-wise, very, very good. Georgia Tech may have their hands full with those guys in this game. This one not going to be affected by weather, of course, played inside a dome at Ford Field in Detroit, so you're going to get a fast track. But maybe the bigger issue will be for the Minnesota side. They fire their defensive coordinator second half of the season, and all of a sudden become a better defensive football team. However, seeing the option offense, something entirely different, something that Minnesota doesn't see inside the Big Ten at all. Yes, you have extra time to prepare for it in this instance, but the way Georgia Tech has executed the option offense this season, a game speed's going to be totally different for Minnesota. You just wonder who they have on their side to simulate the Georgia Tech offense in practice while they were getting ready for this football game. I think it's a distinct disadvantage for them here. You add in the motivational angle of head coach Paul Johnson retiring. These kids want to send him out on a good note. They've played well all season long. Surprisingly, against some pretty good defensive teams, they did well with this option offense too, Drew. This is one that really this season, much like Army's, we didn't see stopped hardly at all. I don't know that Minnesota has the capability to do so. Georgia Tech's going to have to handle that Minnesota passing game, and I'm sure that PJ Fleck is going to come here with the entire playbook, throw everything at Georgia Tech. But the fact of the matter is that Minnesota is going to have to find somehow, some way to stop that ground attack, and I'm not so sure they can do it. We see a huge increase in the line this morning. The game's gone from what was 5.5 to now 6.5 or 6.5, and even a 7 plus 110 at 5 dimes. So money coming in here early today on Georgia Tech.
Robbie, we got one more bowl game here. Quick podcast for today. And guys, the coupon code is CBB 500. Rest of the college basketball season and college football season with the coupon code CBB 500. We got Cal TCU here, Robbie, in the Cheez-It Bowl. This one in Phoenix, Arizona at Chase Field. Keep in mind, guys, that is a baseball stadium. That's where the Arizona Diamondbacks play, for whatever that's worth. We got Cal Pick'em, 38 the total, Robbie. Not a lot of points projected in this one. Quarterback issues on both sides of the ball, both injury and just talent overall lacking. But defenses have been good both sides. Gary Patterson, 9-3 in bowl games, although not as good against the number. Doesn't need a lot as far as ATS goes here with it, either Cal -1 or pick 'em across the board. How do you look to bet the Golden Bears versus the TCU Horned Frogs, Robbie?
Yeah, I think that becomes the most obvious way, right, Drew? And that's the way the money has gone toward the under in a contest where you have two teams whose head coaches are defensive gurus by nature. Gary Patterson doing it in a offensive-minded Big 12 conference once again, and Justin Wilcox doing it in the tougher of the two divisions out there in the Pac-12. I think if you take a real close look at Cal, you might find a bit of an edge. You know, like I say, they played in the northern side, the North Division of the Pac-12, which means they had to play Washington. They beat Washington 12-10. They had to play Washington State. They lose to Washington State 19-13. They had to play BYU. That was the third top 30 defense in the nation that they faced over the course of their season this year. And against BYU, they win 21-18. One thing to notice there is that all three of those games against top 30 defenses were extremely low scoring, 39 points total in the BYU game, 22 points total in the Washington game, 32 points total in the Washington State game. TCU comes in ranked as the number 26 defense. So I think that's why you get a lot of money taking that 41 opener down to where it is now at 38.5. For the Cal side, offense has been hard to come by, as it has for TCU. TCU has only scored above 17 points 3 times in their final 8 games of the season. Injuries to this team at the quarterback position, at the running back position, at the wide receiver position, key suspension to Turpin, their best wide receiver, middle of the year, really affected them. Rager's taken over, Jalen Rager, as the top man on the outside. But this team doesn't face anybody defensively as capable as what California has faced this season, the 3 top 30 defenses I just rattled off. So for TCU, it could be difficult on the offensive side. You make matters worse. Their middle linebacker, heart and soul leader of the defense, Ty Summers, might not play here in this contest. If they don't have him, it makes matters even worse. We're always looking for a motivated team against an unmotivated team in bowl games. I don't know that we have that here. I think both of these teams come to play. Gary Patterson certainly is not going to let his team dog it in this contest. Remember how injury-riddled they were a couple of years ago against Oregon. Oregon became a pretty solid favorite in that game, took money all the way up until kickoff, and actually built what I remember as a 31-7 lead at halftime, or 31-3, 31-7, something like that. And TCU came all the way back, injured and banged up as they were, and won that contest. So that tells you all you need to know about Gary Patterson in preparation for bowl games. They'll show up. One team's going to have to make an offensive play somewhere. I just think that Cal might have played the more difficult defensive schedule, which to me lends itself to playing them -1. The fact that they held the Washington State offense to what they did, the point total that they did, only 19 points, I think is a huge factor in this one. Stanford, toward the end of the season, they only allowed 23 points to. TCU doesn't come anywhere close to being as good offensively as a lot of the teams Cal played on this schedule. So maybe a slight lean towards the Cal Golden Bears, but probably more than anything, I think that the bettors who got under 41 and then maybe even under 40 probably got the best of the number and may have the best ticket in their pocket right now.
Robbie, good breakdown of these 3 games. We'll start off with Duke Temple tomorrow, or should we do it today?
You know what? We can do either, Drew. We could come back later today and do tomorrow's games if that's what we want to do, or we could come back tomorrow. I guess it just depends on how much time you and I can squeeze out of this day right now.
Well, I guess no, we'll come back tomorrow and try to get it up here before 1:30 Eastern time. But I was just going through the odds screen, Robbie. We're gonna have to go all the way through the Monday or even the Tuesday on New Year's Day card. We got a lot of college football we got to get out there, man.
Yeah, guys, there's a lot of games left. They're going to start coming fast and furious. 3 a day for the next 3 days, and then you're looking at 5 and 6 over the course of Saturday and Monday. So we'll cover them all for you. It might be broken up so that we don't go 2 hours long with a podcast, but we'll get them all out there. We'll analyze every bowl game for you. Yeah, we got to keep the Every Game on the Board podcast going, which we will do. We promise you that. So we'll have all the games posted in some form or fashion, probably by end of day on Friday. But either way, guys, appreciate you tuning in. He's Robbie Vino. Check out his 5-star on sportsmemo.com. He's been hitting 75%. That's for the full year on his 5-star totals there in college football. And we also have the coupon code CBB500, rest of the college basketball season for just $500. That's with Robbie Vino with any handicapper on sportsmemo.com. You'll get the rest of the college basketball season, and we'll throw in the college football season with CBB500 as the coupon code. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Best of luck with your bets. We'll talk to you tomorrow.